Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another episode of Morning Tea, where we sit in our sleepwear and discuss current events. Today's tea is unsweetened, no water, iced green tea from Starbucks. Today's payday, she was feeling decadent. I filmed this entire video and edited it yesterday, and it would not export to my external hard drive. I don't know what the error was, and so I was really upset yesterday, but I decided today that I wasn't gonna let that get me down. I was still gonna film it, do it again, give it to you guys so you had something to go on for this week / next week, because like Friday Girl is really almost the next week, you know? Also, I get an opportunity to do the video again, do it better, be more concise and be more clear, and take less time to film it. So hopefully that's what's going to happen. Okay, let's jump right into this episode. Here's the tea. Word on the street, you know, la palabra en la calle, is that Rihanna turned down the Super Bowl for 2019 in support of Colin Kaepernick. And if that is true, girl, you know, I wasn't Team Rihanna ever. I wasn't a part of the Navy when she first came out, and I was like, can she really sing though? Like, what does she bring to the table? I wasn't feeling it. I was not feeling Rihanna, if I'm being 100%. You know, she had a couple of hits that I was into, but I was never really feeling her. And then she dropped the makeup line. She dropped Savage Fenty. I see her more on Instagram, showing things that I find myself agreeing with, and I'm like, damn, Riri has always been herself. And me as a woman, I get caught up in presenting a certain look because I feel like that will garner or gain me respect in the world, like about showing skin, showing my body, you know, talking about certain things, talking a certain way. And I think that was the reason why I initially had rejected Rihanna, besides the fact that I didn't think that she could actually sing and I knew she couldn't dance. So it's like I wanted a little bit more from her as an entertainer. But as a woman, I guess I never stood back and just let her be in her power. I just kind of judged her for being raunchy and kind of being like the trashy cousin that people like to hang out with, but you don't like show to your family right away. And then she just does all these things that really impress me. And like, who am I to really be impressed, right? But I just, now that I'm starting to realize the error of my ways, I would like to give Rihanna the credit that she is due. And she was out there doing her damn thing, and she does a lot for Barbados. In fact, she's an ambassador for Barbados. I don't know if it's anything official, but Barbados wants her to be, you know, an ambassador for them. And I think that it's an excellent choice. I think that she really has transformed what it is to be a pop star. Not transformed it, she's added to it, right? Because there have been pop stars who've taken their celebrity and done great things with it afterwards. But as far as a black woman coming out with makeup lines, a makeup line that has so many different skin tones in it, and then the lingerie line for so many different body types. I mean, Rihanna's just really keyed into the culture and what's happening right now in the world and women empowerment, and I can't help but support and feel like, bravo, Robin Fenty, bravo, you know? So, I mean, it really makes me happy that she would, in solidarity, stand with Colin Kaepernick with the NFL. And not that I'm trying to single-handedly bring down the NFL, you guys. I actually don't care about football at all. Like, not even like a little bit. Like, not even a little bitty, needy bit. Not a mini, tinny, kinny, binny, dinny, binny, sinny, finny. I do like what's happening, and I think that it's very brave and valiant of her to do so. To turn down the Super Bowl, like, that is a pop star's dream. It's like a big deal to do the Super Bowl. So, good for her. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about, here's the tea, is Bette Midler, child. Bette Midler tweeted earlier this month that women are the N-word of the world, that they are beaten, they are raped, they are forced into servitude to have children, and disrespected, all of these things. And then she put it out on Twitter, and a lot of people were like, Bette, women aren't the N-words of the world. The women who are the N-word of the world are the black women. Like, how are you going to just like take something that a group of people have struggled and fought against for decades and then turn around and apply it to women? It's so interesting. Like, white femininity is just sometimes so detached. Bette, even though you were a woman during a time when you had to deal with shitty roles and, you know, terrible sexist men in the industry, like, imagine if you as a white woman had to deal with it, like what a woman of color had to deal with. Come on, Bette, you gotta recognize your privilege. Yes, Yes, as a woman, you have faced adversity, 100%. But you haven't faced the worst of the women adversity because you are a white woman. There were still roles made for you. Like people wrote them. They were like, oh, we want a white woman to be this character, and this character. And then we want an Asian woman to be this character, and we want a black woman to be this character. I mean, then we want the Latino woman to have no lines and just come in and dust. You know, like, people clap back. I don't think I'm gonna cancel Bette Midler. Like, I see what she was trying to say. It was just really tone deaf and like really just not with the times, but she was trying, you know? She was doing it for women around the world. She just forgot about the black women who deal with that on a daily basis, and still, and more so than most women, you know? The next topic that I want to talk about, here's the tea. This lady was out walking her dog, and as she was coming back into her apartment complex, somebody came up behind her and didn't have to use their key to get in because they came in behind her. And so she decided she was going to interrogate this person who happened to be a black male and ask them if they belonged in that building. Ask them, you know, what apartment they lived in and who they were coming to visit and whatnot. And the man was like, I don't have to give you any of that information. She's like, I need some kind of proof that you live here. And he's like, no, you do not. And she's like, okay, well then what floor do you live on? And he's like, excuse me. And she's like, I'm uncomfortable. And he's like, that's fine. You can be uncomfortable, but miss, you need to get out of my way because I'm going home. I need to get into this. Excuse me. I don't know what she was trying to do, girl. She was just really trying to get him to prove to her that he lived there. She didn't know who he was, and so obviously he must not belong there. And her defense, after he recorded this entire situation and then she was put out into the limelight and was interviewed and on the news and her name was everywhere, said that it's a part of the HOA or something, like that the homeowners association said that you're not supposed to let people into the building that you don't know. And so she was doing her part as a good neighbor, as a good citizen of the building. And my thought is, if the HOA was really that concerned, they would have a doorman. It is not a private citizen's job to police other private citizens when they're entering a building. I mean, and from the perspective of being a woman and maybe feeling slightly uncomfortable, like, I get that, but she challenged him and she tried to like block him 4 different times from getting into the building, getting into the elevator. When he got off the elevator, she wanted to see where he lived. I mean, it's crazy. He ended up showing her at some point the key fob, which I guess proved that he lived there, but he shouldn't have had to do that. And I think that people need to think about before they make moves that may or may not be construed as being racist. Did she say that to him because he was a black man? She really needs to look within herself and think, you know what, if this were a white woman, if this were a white man, if this were an Asian man, would I have questioned this person? And if the answer is no, then it was racist intentions. Period. I'm only glad that she didn't call the police and it didn't turn into something bigger, because it absolutely could have. I feel like the only redeeming quality is that at least she tried to take it upon herself to handle it. But honestly, her HOA is probably not going to defend her on this. And they're going to be like, sorry, you know, we're really embarrassed. Yeah, I mean, I lived in buildings where you don't let people in behind you as well. But if it happens, you don't question them. Like, it is what it is. She's under scrutiny right now. Her whole name is out there, and she got fired from her day job because of it. So she works for, I think, a property managing company, and because they manage properties with different races of people, the company decided to separate from her because they felt like she might bring that bias into her job, and they didn't want any part of that. I mean, part of me, if she worked in an environment that was more customer service driven, i.e. if she was the manager of, say, a Starbucks in Philly, and they had seen that behavior and decided to separate ways, separate employment, I would understand that a little bit more. But this kind of feels like overkill just from me looking at it from the outside and not thinking about any of the racial implications involved. I mean, does she deserve what she got? Yeah. Stop trying to be Capitana Condominium, and things like this won't happen to you. But like, does she deserve to lose her job? I'm always a little weird when people lose their jobs, lose their financial backing, unless they're a public servant or somebody who deals with the public. Like, that's how I could see it being like an issue. But you know what I guess it is? I guess it's my fear that if I were to say something inappropriate on camera, that I would go to work and then be terminated for it. Like, and I think that is why I'm a little bit like, it's kind of like how men feel when they defend other men who are accused of rape. I think that initial reaction of, you don't know if he raped her, there's no evidence that it was rape, she could be lying. I feel like that line of thinking in a man usually leads me to believe that they have probably been in some kind of compromising situations in their pasts that they are thinking about. Did I ask for consent? Did I kind of coerce her? Did I sexually assault that person? That woman I just came up on in the club and started like gyrating against. It kind of sucks that she lost her job, but honestly, in this day and age, if you're going to do things like that to people of color, you have to be willing to put your job on the line. Otherwise, just let it go. Okay, so the next topic that I want to talk about, here's the tea. This topic is kind of hard to talk about because I think of it as being like, honestly, a Hollywood movie script, but it's real life and it's scary. So there's this Saudi Arabian journalist, Jamal Khashoggi, I believe that's how you say his name, who went missing earlier this month in Turkey. So Jamal is a columnist for the Washington Post. He was in Turkey and he went into the Saudi Arabian consulate to get some documentations for his marriage because he was going to marry, I believe, a Turkish woman. And he went into the consulate and never came back. And the only reason that this is getting the international news is because he is a columnist for the Washington Post. And senators, a bipartisan group of senators, got together and requested that this administration investigate it for human rights issues, right? They're like, this journalist has gone missing, you know, and we need to investigate this because we think that some human right violations might have occurred. And so this administration was just like, fine, I guess we'll look into it. P.S. He's not American, so we're not going to do that much about it. But the Washington Post is like, he's one of us. He's a journalist and he works for us. So we got to figure out what happened to him. So it turns out that after the Turkish government did some investigating, which was really hard for them to do because the Saudi consulate really fought it and the Saudi government really fought it, they went inside the Saudi consulate and discovered that there had been a lot of new paint everywhere. And so that led them to believe that there was foul play involved. They also said, the Saudi consulate, that Jamal exited the building through the back way after he was done handling his business, but there's no evidence of that besides the fact that the tape of the CCTV, like the cameras outside of the consulates, have been tampered with, so they're not good evidence. And the Saudi Arabian government is like, no, we would never do that. Why would we do that? But it turns out that Jamal was a huge critic of the new regime that's in Saudi Arabia. He didn't want them to go to Yemen. He's very progressive in Saudi Arabia. He was definitely against women being unfairly treated in Saudi Arabia. So he was definitely, you know, outspoken, but he didn't do anything crazy. You know, he was a journalist. So he was giving his opinion and doing his research and all that jazz. And I guess this regime decided that he no longer deserved to live and that he was kind of bothering them. And they have not been able to find his body. In fact, rumors have spread that they dismembered him and buried him somewhere in the Belgrade forest. That is insane, you guys. Journalist goes missing and everyone's looking for him because he's a high-profile journalist. And the United States doesn't really want to do anything about it because they feel like, A, he's not American, B, they have trade agreements with Saudi Arabia, but they have to, right? Because C, they are a part of NATO with Turkey, so they're an ally with Turkey. And this administration is really kind of sketchy about it. They sent over the Secretary of State Pompeo over there to have a conversation with Saudi Arabia, and they were like, we didn't do it. And he was like, great, okay. So they say they didn't do it. And Trump is like, Saudi Arabia says they didn't do it. And remember, I understand that this man is not American. And I understand that they don't necessarily want to throw away all the deals that they have going on with Saudi Arabia based on this one journalist. But if it's this guy, what happens when it's another guy? What happens when it's a woman? It's just going to continue to go on. And the rumor has it that the reason why they lured him into the consulate in Turkey, basically them killing him in the Saudi Arabian consulate was like them killing him on Saudi Arabian soil. So that's why they had to get him in there, because if they kill him there, then the Turkish government really doesn't have any jurisdiction besides to look into a missing persons case. Well, in fact, I mean, they have evidence that a whole group of people who was underneath the prince's regime came over into Turkey that very day and then left that very day after they did what they needed to do, which everyone thinks is dismember that man. I really hope that this comes to a conclusion, and I really hope that there is some kind of rest and peace for Jamal's family, because this is terrible. Who could think that this would happen in the 21st century? I mean, I know it does, but like, this is like a movie starring Mark Wahlberg, you know? A far-fetched thing that could happen that actually happens. I don't know, I feel like journalists are really important people in this world. And I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I think that they're the ones who keep us informed, you know? And if it isn't for the hard work of many journalists around the world, we wouldn't know what's going on and wrongs wouldn't be righted. So our next topic, here's the tea. I kind of don't even want this. I just want to drink water. So Melania Trump went on safari in Africa and she was serving looks. Colonial looks, that is. So people are upset with her because of how tone deaf going to Africa with the colonizer's hat on, you know, is to the people. And you guys, Melania doesn't care. She's a non-issue, really. You know, people need to stop being outraged by what she does and doesn't do. This woman is just trying to survive. I mean, was it tasteless? Yes. Does Melania even know what a colonizer is? Does she even know about colonialism? What does she know? We don't know what she knows. We just know that she's a woman who used to be a model who married a billionaire, and congratulations to her. You know? Like, I don't know anything about her really to say like, oh, she should know better. Like, she's tone deaf. She went to visit kids who have been displaced from their family with a jacket that says, "I don't really care, do you?" or something like that. As the First Lady of the United States, in a comment towards the way people are talking about her. And she's such a non-issue, just like she's not on the playing field, you know? It's like people keep talking about her and she's not even a piece on the chessboard. It's like, okay, like it's tone deaf, it's terrible. She's gonna make more fashion faux pas. Other things are gonna happen to her. Like she's not my First Lady. I don't hold her to any kind of standard, you know? But in other news, speaking about Melania, here's the tea. TI decided that he was going to use a Melania lookalike in a music video and have her in the Oval Office with him sitting behind the desk and her getting on top of the desk and squatting in front of him. That is disrespectful. She is a woman. She is a mother. Like, there is no way that you need to degrade Melania in any fashion to get back at her husband. I mean, she's nothing in the grand scheme of things, but she's still a person and she's still a human. And that's really in bad taste, I personally feel. She's still a woman and no need to objectify her like this. If she wants to show nudes somewhere, let her show nudes somewhere. But no one needs to take her image or a fake image of her and degrade it the way they did. Here's the tea. T.I. is very mad at Kanye because Kanye went to see the Trump administration the other day and said some really crazy things. Now, I don't know if these are directly connected. He might have shot the music video way before this. So I can't say that this is the reason, but it leads me to this thought. Kanye says that the manga hat made him feel like a superhero because he never had a father figure. I think there was a lot of thoughts happening in Kanye's mind at the time when he said this statement, and that's why it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what not having a father figure has to do with the manga hat giving him power or making him feel powerful. Was he saying that Trump always made him feel powerful? Like, yes, back in the day, before Trump was president, there were a lot of rappers who sang accolades to him because he was a billionaire, because he was a go-getter, because he was cutthroat. But all of those things, all of those like attributes doesn't necessarily make him a good person. I think people were just admiring the fact that he was out there making money. To a certain extent, I can honestly give Trump props for that, but because before he became president, I was just like, Donald Trump did it. Like, okay, he's out there making money, hustling, we can see it. But now that he's president, I know he's an idiot. Now, he's business savvy, but he could still be an idiot. That doesn't mean you need to run the country. That doesn't mean we all need to be behind your administration and shenanery. I don't agree with him at all. But I do a little bit respect the fact that he is a moneymaker and that he's figured out celebrity and how to stay relevant. That is a skill within itself, and he's absolutely figured it out. Now, does that translate to the White House? Absolutely not. That's not what I want in my president. But I'm going off the topic. So Kanye made those statements about about the superhero, and about wanting to abolish the 13th Amendment. Now, if you recall, the 13th Amendment is the amendment about slavery, saying that no man should be a slave or can be a slave or taken into servitude. There's a part of that amendment that basically says, it doesn't say that slavery is all the way illegal. It says that slavery is illegal if you're a freed person. You can't be made into a slave. But if you are convicted of a crime and the penalty for that crime is slavery or some kind of servitude, then that's when you can be a slave, basically. And so Kanye is really concerned about our prison system, and he feels like that is what allows the prison system to pay prisoners who do work like 8 cents a week. And he finds that to be deplorable and disgusting. Now, I don't necessarily know if that is a direct connection to that. And so from that, I can see where Kanye is coming from, but everything else he said about it was just so dumb and so uninformed. I think that Kanye's antics and things that he's trying to do is so misplaced. And he looks so silly. And like Melania, to me, is just a non-issue. Like, he is not on the game board. At least not for me. I know for some people he is, but he's just not on the game board for me. Even like talking about them is like kind of weird. I actually got an email from a subscriber asking me to give this topic very little time. So hopefully I can... So I'm just gonna stop talking about it right now. Thank you, Enigma Quo, for saying that. I just think that he's just a non-issue, and we keep talking about him, and I think that's why he keeps doing these things. Because it's like, Kanye said this, Kanye did that. Like, Kanye doesn't care, he just wants to stay relevant. Here's the tea. So we have a victory in the social justice Black Lives Matter world. The murderer of LaQuan McDonald, ex-officer Jason Van Dyke, was indicted, that's not the right word, was convicted of second-degree murder and 16 counts of aggravated assault with a gun or a deadly weapon or something like that, because that's how many times he shot him. 16 times. Okay, so I'm just gonna read this because I want to get all the information correct. So the murder of LaQuan McDonald took place October 20th, 2014 in Chicago, Illinois, when the 17-year-old African-American was fatally shot by police officer Jason Van Dyke. McDonald was reported to have been behaving erratically while walking down the street and holding a knife with a 3-inch blade. Initially, internal police reports described the incident similarly and ruled the shooting justified, and Van Dyke was not charged with the shooting at the time. When the police released dashcam video of the shooting 13 months later, in November 2015, it showed McDonald had been walking away from the police when he was shot. That same day, Officer Van Dyke was charged with first-degree murder. October 5th, 2018, Van Dyke was found guilty at trial of second-degree murder as well as 16 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm. 16 counts for each time he was shot. I'm really, really glad that he was convicted of second-degree murder. I'm really glad. It was like the first time a police officer, at least in Chicago, has actually been held accountable for the killing, the slaying of a young black person, of a black person. And it took 4 years, you know, to happen, but it needed to happen. It needed to happen. This is the kind of thing that needs to happen, and people need to be brought to justice for killing black people. There have been a lot of protests about this, for him, against him, Van Dyke, and there was a GoFundMe account set up by his lawyers right before the trial ended, and a lot of the donors were anonymous that gave money, and I think it totaled to like $51,000, and it was for his daughters. There are some people who are very critical of the GoFundMe account, and this, I say, listen, his family deserves money from the people who want to support them. They do, right? Because this has probably turned his children's world upside down, and I don't think that they deserve to suffer for the crimes of their father. They will, but I don't think they deserve to suffer for it. He's serving time, and everyone is serving time with him in his family, and the least that can happen, at least they could be financially kind of okay. People were also upset that after he was fired in November 2015, that he had gotten a job working as a janitor in the police union, and people were like, he shouldn't be able to get a job anywhere. And I'm like, you guys, he still has a family. Like, even though he did this horrible thing and he deserves to be convicted and tried and go through the whole rigmarole of this, like, his family is being dragged with him. McDonald's family ended up getting $5 million from the city. I don't think that's enough. $5 million. And it's finally some kind of recognition or retribution for this behavior. And I hope that this doesn't stop with Chicago. And I hope that anytime someone is killed by the police, that there is a thorough investigation, and those police officers who are trigger happy or who have natural biases, regardless of their race, are held accountable and brought to justice. I don't think it's only white cops that are out there killing people. I think that there are cops of all races that are killing people, and they all need to be held responsible. This is a high-stress, highly dangerous job, and if you make a mistake in that job, you need to be held responsible for that. The same way if I make a mistake in my job, I'm held responsible for it. All right, you guys, I think that's the end of morning tea. I'm sorry to leave it on this note, you guys, but we have got it in morning tea right here. If you like what I do on this channel and you'd like to consider becoming a Patreon patron, please click the link down below. I don't have anything to offer you guys, but when I do, my patrons will be the first to get free whatever I have to offer. I promise you. Let's have a conversation down in the description box. Please don't forget to send me emails to justcallmewa@gmail.com. I really need your help in producing this show by sending me articles, sending me things that are happening in the world, anything that you would like for me to talk about. Nobody sent me anything this week, but that's okay. Just feel free to email me. As long as it's not crazy, you will get a response from me. Don't be shy to send me articles. Okay, you guys, don't forget to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye. You're my man, I'm your girl. Ooh, I'll never go. Do. Can't believe this is where you will. You guys, I want you to follow me on Instagram. Let's just go make a post real quick. Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Alright, I just finished filming morning tea. This is my beg of you to become a follower of mine on Instagram. Just follow me at justcallmewa so you can see. Hey! What I do on the day-to-day. I try to post at least twice a day so you guys can see what's happening in my life if you are interested in that at all. So follow me at justcallmewa if you are on Instagram. I'm entertaining.